So Section 230. So we've talked about Section 230 a lot on this show. It's basically the protections that allow platforms like Facebook and Twitter, they can't be held liable for something that one of their users posts. If their user posts something that's slanderous or hate speech, Facebook can't be sued for that. The user can. And so that sounds all well and good. But as it turns out, a lot of conservatives have been arguing that Section 230 has provided these platforms with a lot more protections from things that they shouldn't have protections from. And, one of those issues was sex trafficking and allowing sex trafficking to just run rampant on their platforms without doing enough to stop it, to curb it, to shut it down. And so the Texas Supreme Court just recently ruled against Facebook, ruling that they can be held liable for their platform being used by human traffickers to recruit victims. So and basically what the judge said was, we do not understand Section 230 to create a lawless no man's land on the internet, in which states are powerless to impose liability on websites that knowingly or intentionally participate in the evil of online human trafficking. Holding internet platforms accountable for the words or actions of their users is one thing. Holding internet platforms accountable for their own misdeeds is quite another thing. That this is particularly the case for human trafficking. And so, this wasn't a thing as of, several years ago, but in 2018, there was a judge that kind of issued some parameters on 230 that basically opened it up so that it could be liable if it allows sex trafficking on its platform. And this has been the case for Facebook, Twitter, where victims of human trafficking have contacted them and said, hey, there are these posts of me on here that I don't want on this platform that human traffickers have put on here. Can you please take them down? And repeatedly, Facebook, Twitter, they have failed to take the post down. Sure, they would take down a post from Donald Trump in like 5 minutes. But when it comes to actual child pornography and all this illegal sex content, no, it takes them weeks, months. Law enforcement has to get involved for them to remove this content. And so what I wanted to ask you guys is basically, do you think we're seeing a turning point for Section 230? Because not that long ago, no one would have guessed that these companies would be held liable, given the state of 230, for content posted by someone else. But now they are being held liable for this. Could they maybe be held liable for breaching other Section 230 rules in the future?
I mean, the most common thing you hear with Section 230 is people who are, whether they're for or against it. The example is sort of like, regulating hate speech on a given platform.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what people always refer to when they're talking about 230.
Yeah.
So I do wonder, and obviously I'm not a legal expert. I can't even remember the order we're supposed to go on this show. But the way that the Texas Supreme Court worded their decision does make me think that this could definitely have broader implications.
Yeah, and some of the language in there really tells that for me, like knowingly or intentionally participating in something that's illegal.
Yep.
So yeah, that could apply to a lot of different things.
I mean, I guess the tricky part is, and again, this is where, legal experts would have to step in to explain this to me, is sort of, what happens when we are talking about, hate speech, which, which can be identified as a hate crime, which in case is illegal. It's sort of like you can find enough loopholes where the worry then is, places like Facebook or whatever, they're just going to stop posting comments, because it's just, or stop ceasing to function.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I don't know if this is a turning point for 230, because I think that's actually going to be a very big deal. When the issue of 230 is brought up again, it will be a very big deal. This feels like almost a preliminary kind of, like, okay, this is the first thing, and then this will set the precedent for the next time something within 230 is questioned.
Yeah, because it seemed like this invincible shield they've had, and now we're just starting to see a few cracks. Like, you can't do this, you can't do that. What do you think, Eric?
Well, I agree with you, and it's interesting that I've always been kind of for 230 in general, because the only reason why we're able to have these websites is because users are free to post whatever they want to post on it, and the website is just a place for it to be posting. Facebook isn't doing human trafficking, but it's allowing it to happen. So, of course, the devil's in the details. How can you balance the need to have a free and open internet where free communications can occur while still clamping down on crimes. And this, I think, the fact this is going to the Supreme Court in Texas probably will be appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, I think is correct and proper.
Yeah.
If the law as is currently written is not valid or acceptable or wise, then it should go to the Supreme Court for it to be overturned. I'm actually much more in favor than that, than allowing the lobbyists to really push for any kind of reforms for 230. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and we should keep in mind that 230 is very important for protecting internet freedom in a lot of ways. If we 230, if we didn't have 230, we wouldn't have these platforms. Like, Facebook, Twitter, they would be sued nonstop. That being the case, 230 was designed to protect platforms, not publishers. And what we've seen a lot from Twitter, Facebook, a lot of these other companies, is that they're fully willing to editorialize their content. They're willing to ban conservative content mostly, and a lot of liberal content that doesn't fit in with the far left's kind of view of the world, while just allowing left-wing content to run rampant.